New Year's Eve in Australia is generally not as raucous as it used to be. Once pranks and other odd occurrences were commonplace. Kyneton, Victoria welcomed in the first hour of the new year in 1891, with small groups walking around singing songs, much in the manner of Christmas carols. A few gates were removed, but pranks were muted. In Dubbo, New South Wales, 1897 was ushered in by the usual quota of gates shifted, doors tarred, etc., as the press put it. The custom was dying out, they believed, but like many traditions, died hard. Snowtown, South Australia, awoke to 1909 to discover that someone had painted tar on nearly all the doors, windows and fences of businesses in the town. Also vandalised were the Methodist Church, the Institute building and the council chambers. On the Berkshire Valley Road in Mooran, Western Australia, at New Year's 1915, several mailboxes were destroyed by revellers passing through. One victim, with the Great War on his mind, wrote to the newspapers incensed by such a display of German culture and civilisation. A similar sentiment was expressed in Perth, Western Australia, decrying the amount of 1923s written on shop windows and the sides of houses to welcome in that year. The trend of painting the year on roads in Adelaide persisted for many years, but seems to have died out somewhat in the 21st century. At Katoomba, New South Wales, on New Year's Eve 1936, a handsome young traffic cop on point duty found himself surrounded by a group of merry women who all insisted on kissing him over the course of several minutes. When he emerged from the crush, his face was covered in paint and powder. Jim Watson, hotelier of the Hotel Wellington, in Wellington, New South Wales, opened his doors to find a cannon pointed at him, the artefact having been shifted there during the night, on New Year's Eve 1937. A stone of destiny was placed on the steps of a bank in Grafton, New South Wales, in 1951. This was a reference to the Stone of Scone, which had been taken from Westminster Abbey at Christmas 1950 by 4 Scottish students. The stone was allegedly the one on which Scottish monarchs were crowned, until it was taken by Edward I in 1296, during his wars against the Northern Kingdom, and used in English coronations thereafter. The real stone was taken to Scotland and returned to London a few months later. Constable Cousins wasn't in the holiday spirit in 1962, when he charged New Zealanders David Nicholson, 25, and Maxwell Dumble, 22, for riding a camel on Darlinghurst Road in Sydney at 12:30 a.m. without a permit. The offence was proved, but dismissed in court. Whether it was a prank or too much celebrating, a pair of false teeth were found on the front wall of a house in the Adelaide suburb of Croydon on the first day of 1971. In 1981 at Petrel Cove near Victor Harbour, South Australia, a sign appeared overnight which read, "Reserved for nude bathing only," signed by the town clerk of Encounter Bay Council. That council had ceased to exist 6 years earlier. The person to get the most amusement out of New Year's Day, though, must have been the 39-year-old Lithuanian arc welder, found in Gouger Street, Adelaide, at 10 a.m. in 1954, laughing uncontrollably and locked up for drunkenness. After he continued laughing for 5 hours non-stop, worried police took him to hospital, where he continued to laugh for a further hour, then fell asleep. After 2 hours he awoke, laughed for 15 minutes and went back to sleep, from 6 p.m. until 9 a.m. the next day. The cause of his amusement was not divulged. Happy New Year, from Pickles.